Hello and welcome to Hops and Bros. This week, we're all in this together.
For an open window on a crappy world, Max and Chris from Ups and Bros. Ups and Bros. Welcome to Ups and Bros.
So as you all know, there's a pandemic going on. It means that there's a lot of breweries that are kind of left on the wayside. The sense that the brewing industry is an industry in which people come to you, they buy your beers. It's very much an industry that is built on community. And as a brewery, you are part of that community, and that community will support you. Now, because of the kind of a state of affair that we are in right now, it's impossible or very, very hard for those breweries to survive that way. If people are not coming to your establishment to, have a couple tapas and have a couple beers while they're there, you're not making it any money. A lot of people have been exploring other tactics, other ways to sell their beers, like curbside pickup, where you literally don't have to talk or interact or touch anything. You just show up to the brewery, you pick up your stuff, or sometimes not even, sometimes the brewery is actually going to put it in your car and then you leave. There's no transaction. The transaction was done online beforehand. It's all very neat, very cool. But some breweries are going above and beyond. The Altogether is a project that was started by an American brewery and is kind of interesting. It's an open source beer. Not only just the graphics, but the recipe, everything is open source. The marketing material, it's phenomenal. It's a very interesting idea. I don't know how that's going to work. It seems to be very popular in the States. How is that going to enter Canada? Now, before we send this off to Chris, what do you guys think? Do you think it's a cool idea? Do you think it's a little too much? Do you think there's problems that can occur when one brewery kind of comes up with a concept? Is that brewery only being represented and the other ones not so much? Let us know in the comments below. And Chris, what exactly is this? What's all together? What does it entail? What is this?
So Max, before I dive into the subject, let me drop a few lines about our partners at Brew HQ, which are proudly supporting the show this week. So Brew HQ is a fantastic resource for homebrewers. You can find ingredients, equipment to get started homebrewing today. Either you want to get started or just upgrade your set. It's a fantastic resource and they're just amazing. So it's easy, it's fun. You can use the code BROS to get a 10% off your first purchase, which is amazing. Just enter it at the checkout. So go visit their website. The link's going to be down there in the description. It's easy, it's fun. Thanks a lot, Brew HQ, for supporting the show. So the Altogether collab, what is it? So the Altogether collab has been brought up by a very famous brewery out there in the US. Yes, Other Half Brewing Company. I don't know if it's Brewing Company, but Brewing Co. or whatever, but Other Half out there located in New York, a state that's been heavily affected by the current pandemic that's running through worldwide, crazy everyone. So being in that state, Other Half decided to launch this worldwide collab. So by launching Altogether, Other Half wants to support hospitality professionals that are currently affected by the current pandemic. So by brewing this beer, they're offering part of the profits to specific organizations that goes to support industry professionals that are currently affected. When I speak industry, it's mostly hospitality. So we're talking restaurants, bar, everything that's mostly food related or hospitality. So what's very special about this one is that it's a worldwide collab. So anyone can jump in and do their own version of the beer, and then after that give it towards the community that it's around them. So instead of just doing to one spot and then distributing pretty much everywhere, it just spawns into every single parts of the world to create this very unique collab. And I do appreciate everything that's kind of like built around it. So how does it work? Basically, Other Half set up a website called altogetherbeer.com. I think I don't have the right website, but I'm gonna put the link down there in the description if you want to check it out. But there's everything in there. You have an open source recipe, so you basically just chime in, and it's a recipe that's made easy for access to any breweries because of the ingredients. So Matt's going to talk a little bit more about that, but ingredients that are used in this recipe are simple. And it's basically a variation between a New England IPA or a West Coast IPA from the same start. So you can go ahead and just move around those criteria. Max has more info about it. But also, to support this project, they've included all the creative process in there. So you can easily access creative visuals or templates already made by the creatives at Other Half. It's so much easier, and also for any breweries participating, they only have to download it, include their own visuals in there, and they have an end labeled already done. Plus, they've teamed up with the label company to get everything set up so breweries that wants to participate get the labels at cost. So all this is free for any breweries to chime in. Currently, right now, we're speaking, as I'm recording, 661 breweries are participating to this project. It's climbing every single day, and there's breweries all across the world. I think it's around 40 to 50 countries that are participating right now to this project, which I think it's amazing. And at the moment right now, we're quite all affected by it, and I think it's fantastic to have any breweries around working their ways and trying to make it happen, trying to support the community in their own ways. So how can you support all of this? Definitely be on the lookout. Check out your local brewery. Check out around you. There's a good chance that the brewery around you is going to release a beer that's related to this project. Just be on the lookout for this kind of label, the Altogether. And it's going to be a much more easier. If you want to go a little bit more deeper into your research, then you can join the mailing list. It's all going to be down there in the description. Just subscribe to the mailing list and you'll be updated to the different releases across the globe. So Max, how can we take this to our own brew stands and make it our own? Let's dive into the recipe.
All right, so the recipe and just in general, I think it's a cool idea. It's very interesting to have an open source recipe that you're sending off, and especially the way they did it, it's a homebrew recipe. So anyone at home can also create their own version of this beer. And as they mention, as a brewer, you know your equipment, you know how to scale up some of the stuff. And we're going to talk about a few challenges about scaling up and about using your own ingredients. Start off, there's two versions of this recipe. The first one is a New England style IPA. The other one is a West Coast style IPA. The only differences between one or the other is in the yeast selection and also in the hop addition. The bulk of the hops are actually exactly the same. The only difference is the bittering hop. So you're adding a little more bittering hop to your West Coast IPA. As your New England style, you're keeping the IBUs a little lower in this case. Looking at the different ingredients, in order, first off, water, nothing too special, a little softer water that this brewery is saying, this Other Half brewery, if you guys heard of them, they say they have soft water. That's the thing, is as a brewery, it's very hard if you have hard water to get soft water. So there's kind of, you got to play with what you have, creating maybe not the exact same beer, but a very, very close approximation of it. Next up is the grain profile. Very simple grain profile, two-row oats and carapils. It's something that most breweries are probably going to have in stock, which is what I've seen from this recipe in general, is it's all very basic ingredients that most breweries have on hand at all times, like the grain. Next up, the hops. The hop rate is a little elevated, a lot of dry hopping, a lot of whirlpool additions, but that's kind of to be expected when it comes to modern style IPAs. And that's where it gets, again, basic hops that you might have in stock as a brewery. If you're a brewery that does IPAs, you're going to have Mosaic, you're going to have probably Columbus, you're going to have some Citra, you're going to have whatever. And if not, you can substitute a lot of those hops for what you have on stock to try to mimic that recipe as much as possible. Although I'm sure they recommend to follow the exact recipe. And last up is the yeast. Any IPA uses London Fog, which is a pretty common yeast strain to have. But again, it's one of those. It's a hazy IPA type yeast strain. So a lot of breweries that are already doing those kinds of beers are going to have access to something close to, if not exactly that, as they're going. Very interesting concept. The recipe is really nice. I love the fact that everything is provided for you. Recipe, marketing, label, everything is there. The only thing is that if you're a brewery and you already have a community that supports you, already have people who like your products, to jump into a brand new beer that has not necessarily been tested, it's kind of it's weird. It's, there's a challenge to it. Are you going to put yourself out there and try this when you're not sure if people are actually going to respond or know what's going on? Which is the importance of talking about this Altogether project. I think the more people talk about it, the more people are going to know, and the more people are going to want to invest in this. In the sense that if you're buying a beer, you're not only helping supporting your local brewery, but you're also going to help support your community for the service industry or whatever the brewery wanted to kind of give their money towards the community, the aspect they wanted to support, which I think is really cool. And naturally, when it comes to brewing this beer, the challenges of wanting to invest in this and try something new without it being proven, and also using your resources that you have to do this. Now, naturally, a lot has already been given to you in the way of the marketing material and the label. That's a big cost when you're making a beer, but there's also the ingredients. So are you willing to sacrifice some of your two-row that you're going to use on another beer on this beer? I don't know. If I was a brewery owner, I would probably check it out. I'd probably try it. There's a lot of breweries in the Niagara area where I am currently that are doing this. Counterpart is a big one that I saw that they're moving forward and helping this going. They're brewing a beer. They're participating in the Altogether, which is awesome. And I hope to see more breweries kind of emulate that and get involved, because it's when it comes to helping out breweries, it's a pretty cool concept. I mean, you're putting forward the thing you're best known for, which is your beer, and you're helping support other breweries at the same time. I think it's a cool concept. Chris, what do you think about this whole thing, industry-wise? Do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing? Is it going to help? Is it not going to help? What's going on here?
So yes, I had the opportunity to get my hands on a can of the Altogether, brewed here by Brasserie du Bas-Canada. It's one of my favorite breweries. It's my neighborhood brewery. They brewed it. It's fantastic. I'm nearly done with it. I already shared it with my girlfriend at the same time because yes, it's an Altogether beer, but it's basically a nice AZ IPA. You get loads of fruitiness. I do get more stone fruits out of it, a little bit of citrus, not too much. It's well balanced at the same time, but also it's very subdued compared to a lot of AZ IPAs out there. So it's basically a nice little punchy AZ pale ale, in my opinion, because there's not a lot of boosting bitterness coming through, but I think it's fantastic. And just for what it is and what it does to the whole community, it's fantastic. So yes, you might think that it's only benefiting maybe one brewery in the end process, but if you open your mind to the whole community aspect of things, on just how the breweries are basically built, it shows how you can easily support your own local brewery by buying with your own dollars, investing them in local beer. We've always talked about it, but at the moment right now, it never been as relevant as it is. And basically having projects like that, supporting everything local, and also having funds put towards hospitality, but also people affected that lost their jobs or lost their revenue sources. It's very important for you guys to team up or just to be opened up with your neighbors without having to visit them, just supporting them with your own dollars. It's much appreciated.
If you like the video, please leave a like, subscribe, share with your friends, share the love. We're all together in this. Proper grammar. And we'll see you guys in the next one.